Welcome to the Carl Jackson Show podcast, your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. Guys, we are doing a special Saturday edition because I didn't broadcast yesterday. But anyway, listen, there are so many important stories that I didn't get to during the week. I wanted to bring them to you. Iowa or bust, more Fauci scandal and fantasies. Fani Willis, I want to dive back into that case. Also, the Houthi rebels and what they're doing, the U.S. and U.K. lunch strikes against them, why that's important. The Iowa caucuses, it's Iowa or bust for a couple of the candidates. Hunter's stupid stunt walking into Congress and showing up uninvited. I think that is going to hurt him. We're talking about all of that and more. Guys, this show is brought to you by MyPillow.com. You guys may not have heard the news. Fox News is canceling all of MyPillow ads. Man, I don't know what's going on there. It is absolutely, actually, I kind of do. I think we all do. But anyway, listen, you still have a place to buy MyPillow products. That is right here on the Carl Jackson Show. Please make sure you subscribe to the show wherever you go to get your podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify. On YouTube and Rumble, if you will review the show, give us a 5. That'll help more people view the show, and we'll get a little more exposure. We certainly appreciate that. If you want to buy MyPillow products, go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio podcast square, and enter my name, Carl, C-A-R-L. That is C-A-R-L, or give them a call, 800-858-0263, 800-858-0263. Guys, it doesn't matter how you feel about Mike Lindell. We're being invaded at our border. We have so many products and manufacturing that is imported in by places like China, predominantly China. Mike Lindell offers you American-made quality products. He is obsessed with making sure that you get a good night's sleep. You can do so. Giza Dream Sheets are available now as low as $29.99 for my listeners. Also, there's more My Pillow 2.0, the slippers, there's dog mattresses, bathrobes, towels, whatever you want. Deep discounts available on mypillow.com. I don't know why Fox let them go, although I suspect I know. But listen, you can still come here to the Carl Jackson Show. Use my promo code, which is my name, Carl, C-A-R-L, and make sure you get some great American-made products. All right, guys, without any further ado, again, I'm just going to run through some of these topics today, some of the ones that I didn't get to touch on during the week. And also, I want to announce to you guys, I know I've been saying this for a long time, but it's mostly because Gabe has been slacking, not me. But we're going to be working on taking this show live this year. I miss interacting with you guys. I miss the radio feel. It's taken me a while to kind of adopt to this podcast format. It's a little different for me, admittedly. But what we're going to do is we're going to fuse radio and podcasting, if you will. And although we won't take calls, we will be able to take live messages for those of you that are on social media and listening, and we'll figure out what platforms we'll be using to go live. So I look forward to that. I look forward to interacting with you. We don't have a date yet, but as soon as we have that date, I will let you know. And I just miss you guys. It's weird doing a podcast. I sit here in a room totally alone, believe it or not. And Gabe is at another location helping me out with all of the video editing and so on, etc. But it is a different feel, one that I had to get used to. And I think I've gotten used to it now, but I miss radio, and I don't want to let go of radio. I know radio is old school, but we can marry radio podcasting, if you will, and we intend to do it. All right, without any further ado, let's go check out. This is Jerry Nadler, Representative Jerry Nadler, again, basically saying what we all knew about illegal immigration. You guys may recall earlier in the week, Representative Yvette Clarke from New York admitted that Democrats don't want the borders closed because they're concerned about redistricting. They want more congressional seats. And the way to do that is you flood the zone, even your own state. You know, I'm sitting here thinking, man, they need to, they want to put as many illegals as possible in red states. And they do want to do that because they want to change the demographic. But also in the immediate future, what they'd like to do is you just add these illegals to the population. And guess what? It's going to force redistricting. It's going to force more congressional seats. So Democrats ultimately get more power in Congress. And this is what Yvette Clarke admitted that she needed because I think her district was being redistricted. So she's like, hey, bring in the illegals. They'll vote for Democrats. And voila, I can keep my seat. Man. All right, so here's Jerry Nadler with Nadlist with the latest, as I call him, Nadlist. All right, so here he is. Let's go ahead and roll the video, por favor, Gib.
And we need immigrants in this country. Forget the fact that the farm that our vegetables would rot in the ground if they weren't being picked by many immigrants, many illegal immigrants. The fact is that the birth rate in this country is way below replacement level, which means our population is going to start shrinking. And the ratio of people on Social Security and Medicare is going to increase relative to the number of people supporting them.
All right, so here's what Gary Nadler just admitted in that clip. He admitted, all right, that the Democrats want slave labor. They want a perpetual underclass. That's what he just said out loud. Guys, we have machinery that can pick vegetables and stuff like that now. I've actually seen it. So this is a complete and utter farce. It's a lie. We do not need illegal immigration for slave labor inside of the United States, Jerry Nadler, and that's exactly what he admitted. He also admitted that our population growth rate is low. We're not replacing Americans. Guys, if the Democrat Party would stop obsessing over abortion and telling other people to have abortions and to get married, that would not be an issue. But they're admitting that they have an issue, that we have an issue with population. All right, so that's what he admitted. And he also admitted, listen, we don't have enough we don't have enough younger workers, or we need more younger workers in order to support the elderly workers in this country that are going to be tapping out for retirement and going on to Social Security. Guys, this is absolutely insane, and he just admitted that all. Do not vote for Democrats, all right? They lie to you, and then just to keep and retain power, and then when their policies don't work and they destroy America, they'll just bring in illegal aliens to try to rectify the damage that they've caused. All right, moving on. Let's go to the next video. We have another video that I just wanted to show you. I saw this video, and I was sad, and then I was also a little angered after I saw it. Gabe, let me know when you have it up. But this is Joe Biden, I believe, stepping off of Marine One. There you can see Jill Biden off of Marine One as well. And obviously you see the soldiers located in their areas or their positions as the I almost said the P word, the president, as Joe Biden steps off of Marine One. I want you to look at his activity, and it's really important to notice in this video that it's nighttime. I have something to say about that. Gabe, let's go ahead and roll this quick tape, and then I'm going to offer my comments on this video. Por favor. Look at him. Look at him. Just bewildered. Straight up lost. You think this guy's calling the shots? You think this guy knows that Lloyd Austin was out? Look at him. Look at him. Does not know where he is. Just lost. Just lost. Wondering how the heck did I get here? They probably have to explain to him, sir, you're the president, get in the freaking car. I mean, this is absolutely insane. But I looked at this video, and I looked at Jill Biden, and I sat there thinking, man, these people, his family, Jill Biden and his family, these are despicable human beings. How could you treat an elderly person this way? This is elder abuse. Here's what happens at night. It's called sundowning. That's a term that's used for dementia patient or people that are suffering dementia patients and people that are suffering from Alzheimer's. And I know this because currently in my own family, we have two elderly members, two elderly members that are right now struggling with dementia. And it's very sad to see. And at nighttime, they're totally confused. Absolutely, totally totally confused. Honestly, I'm dealing with this right now in my own household. Absolutely, totally confused. That's what you saw there. It's called sundowning. For whatever reason, nighttime hits. It is a different person. The height of the confusion just skyrockets, and it's like, okay, where am I? Am I there? Where am I going? This just happened to me just a couple of nights ago. All right, guys. So it's crazy. So I saw that video and I just said, man, this is sick. This is sick. These people are evil. Jill Biden knows that her husband is gone. He is not there. This guy is not calling the shots. He is incapable of calling the shots. There's no way he can run the presidency now, let alone run an election campaign and hope to win again. And if he does, carry out his duties as president of the United States. It is impossible. And Jill Biden knows this, but she loves the limelight. She loves the lifestyle. She loves the power, and she is holding on for dear life. This lady does not get enough scrutiny, but it's all of Joe Biden's family. And I sat there thinking, man, it is so sad. I almost feel sorry for Joe Biden that he has such a disgusting family that would take advantage of the system and use him in order to gain wealth, prestige for themselves. And then I sit back and I think, he mentored them. They're doing exactly to him what he did to them, what he did to his crackhead son, Hunter Biden. Speaking of that, let me just mention this real quick because I spoke on this earlier in the week, but I just want to offer another take. I read a column from Miranda Devine of New York Post, and it was really good. And basically about the Hunter Biden stunt. So Hunter Biden doesn't show up a couple of months back or so. He didn't show up. He gave a stunt then in front of the Senate building instead of the congressional building, so that the Senate at Arms of Congress couldn't arrest him for not showing up for a congressional subpoena. So here he is. He shows up earlier this week for a contempt hearing in Congress because he didn't show up for that initial deposition. All right. So there, the Congress is trying to hold him, or getting ready to hold him in contempt. And voila, he appears with his attorney, with his sugar homeboy, Kevin Morris, an attorney, and he said just making a stunt of it. And I sat there thinking, man, this is privilege. This is narcissism, like nothing else. But it was a clown show. And ultimately, I think it's going to hurt Biden. And I'll tell you why. I think it'll hurt Joe Biden, and I think it hurts Hunter Biden because neither one of them are that bright. And it's obvious, right? They're just entitled. But when he went into Congress and he pulled that stunt, and you heard Nancy Mace, oh, you have no Bozak, and just trying to get a social media hit. I mean, honestly, that chick. But he made a clown. He made a spectacle of Congress. I think he made a spectacle of his family, and especially considering the Trump kids, like sat in front of Congress, especially Donald Trump Jr., and went through several congressional depositions and asked questions for hours and hours and hours on end. But this looks foolish, and I think more independents are going to see that. But beyond that, when he was in the hallways, you guys might recall the video, and I didn't get the video up. I'm sure you've seen it plenty of times. I'm sure you'll know what I'm describing. But Fox News reporter, I believe her name is Ashley Vaughn, literally, as he was walking out of those congressional doors, caught him in the hallway, and she asked the question, and I'm paraphrasing, hey, why did you have your dad on the phone when you were having business meetings or something to that effect? And he started saying, hey, don't you ever speak to your dad on the phone? And she's like, yes. And basically, he was like, well, there you go. And she's like, well, but what about during business meetings? The guy screwed up. Basically, he admitted that his dad was on the phone during his business meetings. And Joe Biden denied that this summer of 2023. So he just caught his dad up. The guy's an idiot. He tried to pull a stunt. He hurt himself. Okay, moving on. So I just wanted to show you those couple of videos. I wanted to opine on that real quick. This was news that came out this week that I think is so vitally important. Follow me on Twitter, all things social media, at The Carl Jackson Show. But Fauci, behind closed doors, admitted, let me see if I can pull up the column real quick, but basically admitted some major whoppers when it came to the science of these COVID lockdowns. So these are the things that he's backed off of already. The Federalist had a great article, as well as Breitbart and a couple other places that I looked into. But basically, he admitted that he wasn't following the science. The whole social distancing thing, no. Not needed. It just came out of thin air. As a matter of fact, his words were, when he was under oath, is sort of just appeared, close quote. So first, Fauci admitted that COVID policies were not grounded in science, confessing that 6 feet of social distancing sort of just appeared. Now, he's already backed away from the whole mask thing. He backed away from ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, generic drugs, not being sufficient for treating COVID. I mean, he's admitted that remdesivir was not that effective, but very expensive. These are all things that he's been forced to admit under oath. It's amazing. It says here, Fauci also ignored data about the role repurposed generic drugs like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine could play treating COVID, while pushing expensive new treatments like remdesivir, which the World Health Organization just concluded did little to help people hospitalized with COVID and could even do harm. So the World Health Organization, which let's be honest, when they spit out the truth, I follow it. When they don't, it's pretty common sense. It's common sense stuff, right? To know when they're lying or not. Same with the Natural Immunity. World Health Organization admitted that that was a good thing. And that it would help with herd immunity, that everybody was clowned on. Fauci is backed away again from masks, but he's still denying, behind closed doors, he still denied that children, there was a significant problem with learning loss in America. Frankly, who cares what Fauci says? This guy, he really does need to be in prison. I don't say that lightly. I think the death penalty is warranted for fascist Fauci. Obviously, I don't believe it'll happen, but that is my opinion. All right, so moving on from there, but that was big news during the week. Just in case you missed it, this guy totally lied. There was no science to any of the techniques that were used. He totally duped Trump. He and both Deborah Birx, just a total scandal. And if you follow Dr. Scott Atlas, I would encourage you guys to follow Dr. Scott Atlas, because basically he came in to share the truth about things that would actually work during the Trump administration. And there was always a fight between he and the other doctors. And unfortunately, at the time, I felt like Trump took more of Fauci's advice than he should have, instead of Dr. Scott Atlas's advice, and Fauci was out to get him. I mean, it's as simple as that. Fauci is a man of the left, and I think he wanted to destroy Donald Trump. And frankly, I think he succeeded. I think Fauci is a big reason why. I mean, we can talk about election integrity and all this kind of stuff all day long, but were it not for those COVID lockdowns, were it not for the fake information from fascist Fauci, I don't think Trump would have shut down actually, I'm positive Trump wouldn't have shut down the government and ordered that, initial 2 weeks to slow the spread, which ended up being freaking 2 years. So absolutely insane. Okay, moving on from there. This is a really, really important story, I believe. Really important story. Let me see here. Where should I go? I want to go to Texas real quick. I think this is extremely important given what's happening. Hat tip Breitbart. Texas military seizes city-owned border park and ejects federal agents. All right, so the Texas military department seized a city-owned golf course located in the busiest border crossing point along the Rio Grande, the story writes, or the article says. The Texas National Guard then ejected U.S. Border Patrol agents from the park and took total control of this section of the U.S.-Mexico border. I absolutely love this. I love the Border Patrol, but the Border Patrol are under the orders of the Department of Homeland Securities and the executive branch under Joe Biden. And obviously, as Jerry Nadler admitted, as a vet, I forget her name now, the other Democrat, Yvette Clarke from New York, admitted they want illegal immigration. They want illegal immigration. All right. So again, they want the slave labor. He admits the replacement theory. He admits that we need younger workers to provide the Social Security, with a dying breed of Americans or a dying generation of Americans. We need more people working in America to provide the Social Security, which tells you Social Security is what? Bankrupt. It's astonishing. Everything that he inadvertently admitted in that clip is absolutely astonishing. But Americans have been so dumbed down. Most people are not going to catch on to that. It's as simple. It's as simple as this. All right, let me pull something up, because the Fulton County DA Fani Willis. Real quick, there's more news about her that broke, and you guys may have recalled me speaking about this earlier in the week. But Fani Willis basically hired her lover. She was having an affair with the guy that she hired as a special prosecutor. She hires him as a special prosecutor. The guy divorces his wife. He's paid $654,000 since February, $654,000 since February 2022. He uses that money, and it was never approved by a board, the Fulton County board. I forget the exact title of the board, but the board was supposed to approve his hiring. Fani Willis never got that approval from the board. Turns out this guy has a small firm in a different county in Georgia, Cobb County, instead of Fulton County, where he practiced personal injury law, didn't even practice criminal law, but she hires him as the special prosecutor so they both can profit from taxpayer money. So they've gone on lavish vacations, cruise ships, the Royal Caribbean cruise ship, Norwegian cruise ship. They've taken luxury vacations to Napa Valley, California, one of the most expensive areas, not just in the United States, but I believe in the entire in the entire world. Also, vacations to Florida. So they've been living it up on a taxpayer dole. I believe that everyone that has worked with that special prosecutor, because he's illegally in that position. He's illegally in that position. So everybody that's worked with him and, made plea agreements with him, I think all of that stuff should be revoked. Those people should go back to court to absolutely sue. Let me see. Where's the story? I want to just read Oh, here it is. All right, so this is from Red State. Hat tip to Jennifer Van Laar at Red State. She says, just how politicized is Fulton County DA Fani Willis's office and her prosecution of Donald Trump and 18 other Republicans? It's been obvious since day one that this prosecution is all about politics, but in the last few days, we've learned specific details about Willis's conflicts of interest and her office's apparent collusion with the White House. In May of 2022, right around the time Willis seated a grand jury to investigate Donald Trump, a new part-time employee showed up at the office. The new hire, I cannot pronounce his name, but I'll try, Pallavi, Pallavi, Purkayastha, Purkayastha, is a DNC member, one of the top leaders in the Georgia Democrat Party. Indeed, she is the spokesperson cited in response to a recent court filing by defendant Michael Roman, alleging an improper romantic relationship between Willis and the special prosecutor, Nathan Wade. In addition, at the time, this lady Pallavi was hired. She was the fiance of and is now married to a guy by the name of Charlie Bailey, the 2022 Democrat nominee for lieutenant governor. and chairs a local PAC called Red Clay Democrats. So all of this is just a Democratic scam to destroy the former president in Fulton County by a bunch of corrupt people. So whenever the Democrat politicians are claiming a Republican politician is corrupt, chances are they're more corrupt, or the Republican isn't corrupt, and they are. It is projection, and that is exactly what we're seeing we're seeing with Fani Willis. All right, let me circle back to this Texas story just real quick. So again, Texas National Guard military seizes control of the border from the Border Patrol agents who don't like it. And the federal government doesn't like it, but they're not doing anything. They can't do anything. Their hands are tied. So it's kind of scary because they seized control of this park. But the problem is, what are they going to do when illegals get there? I mean, you're talking about what could potentially be a devastating confrontation, but they had to do it. They have no choice. The federal government under Joe Biden does not intend on securing the border. We've all heard the reasons why, thanks to Yvette Clarke and Jerry Nadler. It says here in this column by Breitbart, Border Patrol officials told Breitbart, Texas, that Texas National Guard units quickly moved into Shelby Park. That's in Eagle Pass on Thursday. The guardsmen erected barriers around the park and instructed Border Patrol agents to leave the area. So the Texas National Guard told the Border Patrol they must leave. This move only serves, and I'm quoting, to raise tensions at the ground level between the state and Border Patrol agents who are bound by policy set in Washington, D.C. This is official, I believe, from Washington. If the number of crossings we saw in December return, we will be the first ones the state calls to deal with another humanitarian crisis of that magnitude. All right, so that's the Border Patrol. The Texas Military Department moved quickly to secure the area under the authority of Governor Abbott. Abbott's emergency declaration and Operation Lone Star. It is not clear what the National Guard soldiers will do if any immigrants attempt to cross the border into Shelby Park. I'd imagine what they do is to take them into custody, arrest them, and deport them themselves. But I'm just, this could be a very intense situation, and that's why we need a fence. That is why there's got to be legislation. There can be, if Trump gets in or if DeSantis gets in, there can be this can't be an executive order thing, because you see what happened. Trump built, I think it was just shy of 50 miles worth of fence. He rehabilitated hundreds of miles worth of fence, but this still means there's tons of opening, and Democrats didn't want to work with them. That's what they're going to do. There has to be legislation. This cannot be done by executive order. We've got to put the pressure on. We got to make sure this happens. All right, now let me speak of the inevitable Iowa or bust. All right, so the Iowa caucuses are set to happen Monday. This is going to be huge. Listen, I believe the primaries either end or begin with the Iowa caucuses. Carl, what do you mean by that? Well, if you look at the Real Clear politics averages, you have Trump with a commanding lead when it comes to the Iowa caucuses. As a matter of fact, let me look there right now, because we are just a couple of days away. Again, I'm podcasting on a Saturday morning here. We'll wrap up in just a few. Oh, and by the way, again, just a reminder, support our friends at MyPillow.com. Mike Lindell, he's been kicked off of Fox News. Guys, American manufacturing, a good night's sleep. MyPillow.com, promo code Carl, C-A-R-L. All right, take advantage of all these deals. So if you look at Iowa, the polling shows that Trump is up 53 points. It shows that Haley has slipped into second at 17.8. DeSantis is at 15.5. All right, let me tell you why this is a fraud. Vivek is at 6.5. Let me tell you why this is a fraud. Because anyone that they poll in Iowa, it doesn't mean that they'll show up to caucus, because the weather is going to be extremely cold. So they're likely calling the same people. I would say, listen, obviously Trump is the odds-on favorite. I'm not denying that. But if there is an upset, if DeSantis or Haley happens to upset, and I think, according to the ground game that I've heard of, I think DeSantis, if there is going to be an upset, it would likely be DeSantis. likely be DeSantis. If it does, it changes the entire narrative of the primary, because and then Donald Trump can't argue that the polls are correct, and he can't argue that basically it's a fait accompli, that he's the nominee. However, if he does win, I think it's over for DeSantis. I mean, I really do. I don't know how you come back from this. Or I will say this. I almost think this polling, if DeSantis performs well, has kind of helped him. If he comes in a second place, but a close second place, because the polling shows that he's down nearly 40 points. So let's say he comes within 10 points. I don't know. It kind of helps him. That's why I'd say this could be make or break. If Donald Trump runs away with Iowa, dude, it's hard, right? Then you got New Hampshire, then you have South Carolina. He's the favorite in both of those places if the polls are correct. So, but you win that first race, it's going to give you momentum. It's going to set narratives. If Haley upsets DeSantis in Iowa, unless it's like neck and neck and they're both closer to Trump than we suspect, I don't know. So I do think this is make or break for DeSantis. Listen, I know a lot of people can't stand the guy and they're like, not your time, so on, etc. I believe all that stuff is up to God. I think even some of my colleagues get annoyed with me by saying that. I'm not into the monarchy thing. I'm not into the loyalty to other politicians. I'm just not into that. That's not our system. I hope that it never becomes our system. The politicians are supposed to be loyal to you. That's the way our Constitution is written. So the only loyalty that I believe you should be concerned about in politics is loyalty to the Constitution and loyalty to the voters, loyalty to the Bill of Rights. That's all I'm concerned about in politics, because ultimately that is the mentality and that is the system that has kept us so free for so long. All right, but Iowa caucus, a big, obviously, I'm sorry, I'm scratching my eye. It's going to be extremely cold, temperatures in the negatives, -10, -15 below. But again, this is the cold season in Iowa. I don't know what the snow is going to look like on the ground, but we'll have to wait and see. But Iowa is going to be huge. It is going to be a telltale sign. Again, if Donald Trump runs away with it, I think the race is pretty much over. I'm not telling people to get out. They can do whatever they want. But at that point, it's going to be hard to spin any other narrative. I'm just shooting straight. But again, if there's an upset there, then I think it could hurt Trump in the long run. I really do, because once you get rid of this, hey, I'm going to win it all, it's inevitable. If that narrative goes away, I think other people start saying, wait a minute, the poll said this or this. So this is why I don't like the polling. This is why I don't like the way the polling was done this year. And I think people got upset with me because of it. I'm seeing it, as a matter of fact. I know people have. But the polls were so whack this year, the methodology. I'm just like, dude, you can't do that. You stir unnecessary divisiveness. You may encourage people to go out or to stay home. Man, the polling has to get better in the future, but maybe I'm wrong. We'll find out on Monday. All right, so that's it for the Iowa caucuses. Now, last thing that I want to talk about here are these Houthi rebels. There are a couple of news stories, obviously, that broke. The U.S. and U.K. forces have struck Houthi forces in Yemen. And obviously they are Israeli backed, but they were clogging up the Red Sea, making it difficult for people to transport. And obviously that is not a great thing. It was a direct threat to the United States. Here's a story from National Review. Iran has claimed responsibility, for an apparent hijacking of an oil tanker in the Gulf of Oman. You heard about that earlier this week. The UK Maritime Trade Operations received a report around 10:30 p.m. on Wednesday, Eastern Standard Time, of the tanker being boarded by 4 or 5 armed men. They were wearing military-style black uniforms with black masks. A few hours later, Iranian state TV said the country's navy had carried out the attack. Now Iran is exacting revenge for a perceived slight involving that tanker. The vessel was the center of a dispute, you guys may recall, between both Iran and the U.S. over the evasion of oil sanctions. Iran uses oil, obviously, to smuggle funds or proceeds to fund terrorism. But this makes the Biden administration look bad, right? Because, guys, it appears to me we are in such dangerous territory. I don't think I can overstate it. I am praying to God there isn't World War III. I'm looking at Russia, Ukraine. I'm looking at Israel and Hamas, and obviously Iran. All of these people want to make moves. China and Taiwan. All of these people want to make moves, and they want to make moves. These countries, they're going to make moves while Biden is in, because I showed you the video earlier. If I'm watching this video, obviously China is watching, obviously Iran is watching, obviously Putin is watching. Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin have met Joe Biden in person. They know the guy isn't there. They know it. And they are playing chess while this whack administration, because obviously Biden isn't calling the shots. Lloyd Austin, I'm not even convinced Lloyd Austin is calling the shots. The guy was AWOL for nearly a week, and now we're supposed to feel uncomfortable. Oh, yeah, he's handling the situation with the Houthi rebels. I mean, we can be confident in that. No, we can't. The guy's been a disaster ever since the Afghanistan debacle. His position under Obama, I forget what his title was then, frankly, but he played a major role under Obama as well. These people are a bunch of woke communists that are making horrible decisions on foreign policy because they believe that America is systemically racist and evil, and they are going to send us into World War III. I can only hope and pray, God, in the name of Jesus, that we get either Trump or DeSantis in 2024. I know Nikki Haley talks a tough game. Talk is one thing. Obviously, Trump was very good with foreign policy. I believe that DeSantis would be good too. Just based upon the stuff that I've seen here in Florida. Don't let anyone tell you that he's a rhino. I hate that, because I believe that, and why I'm so adamant against this, Carl, you just like DeSantis and you hate Trump. No, I do love DeSantis, but I do love Trump too. But I do know this for a fact: when it's based on just based on policy, when it's based on things getting done, DeSantis has been the most conservative governor that has existed in my lifetime. That's just a fact. Why would you destroy him? Let's not make the same mistake that Obama and Nancy Pelosi made. They basically cleared their bench in 2010, and that's why they have to have people like Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom. They got rid of blue dog Democrats. They got rid of good talent because they wanted to go far left. Let's not make the same mistake. All right? Let's not get rid of our bench. You know, I'm trying to think long term. All right. Anyway, that's that. But man, this situation in the Red Sea is things are just getting scary. I'm going to try to get someone on to talk about that more in depth next week. But until then, guys, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition, the Saturday edition of the Carl Jackson Show. And I know that we covered a lot of ground. I want to make sure that I covered everything. Oh, just one story I want to bring you real quick as you hear my dogs barking in the background, which means it's time to wrap up. All right, so Republican warns of rules proposed by HHS forcing foster families to accept radical gender theory. Guys, foster kids that have been abandoned, kids that have been abused. You've got an HHS that wants to make sure they're confused. We've got to win in 2024. We have got to win in 2024. And we've got to fight the cultural fights. The church has got to stand up for righteousness. We've got to be willing to speak our mind, speak the truth, come what may. All right, guys, that's it. Until next time, do not grow weary doing good. God bless. It is Iowa or bust. All right. So we'll be back to talk about the Iowa caucuses next week. Obviously, by Tuesday, in my opinion, I think we'll know whether or not this primary is over or if it continues. All right. So I look forward to that. It's going to be an exciting week next week. Until next time, again, don't grow weary doing good. God bless you.